Based on these ambiguities or excessive hints, in Director General Grossi's report, they wrote a resolution which barely scraped together the necessary half of the votes in the IAEA Board of Governors, but which, in essence, with its deliberately alarmist tone, gave Israel an additional pretext to launch the operation, justifying it, among other things, by the supposed opinion of the IAEA. That's why everyone needs to be careful, especially the Director General and his staff, and focus as much as possible on their professional duties, not allowing their professional activities to be politicized. But when a highly respected and prominent international agency like the International Atomic Energy Agency, IAEA, explicitly states that there are absolutely no discernible signs for any significant concern and fully maintains the definitive conclusion it made back in 2015 that there is no concrete evidence whatsoever of Iran shifting its nuclear program toward military objectives or developing nuclear weapons.
Sergey Viktorovich, does the Russian Foreign Ministry share the concern that US strikes on Iran have, on the contrary, only encouraged the authorities of the Islamic Republic to acquire nuclear weapons? Could this provoke a nuclear arms race in the Middle East? And from this perspective, how promising is the idea of creating a zone in the region free of nuclear weapons and other weapons of mass destruction? If I may, in this regard, how do you assess the work of the IAEA, and is there any effective mechanism for resolving the Iranian nuclear issue, given the intentions of the Tehran authorities to suspend their cooperation with this organization?
That already sounds like a comprehensive article that truly deserves a fee, too. Of course, we have already commented on this situation. The non-proliferation regime has suffered as a result of the aggressive actions taken by Israel and later by the United States of America, attacking facilities of Iran's peaceful nuclear program and accusing it of using this program for illegal purposes to create nuclear weapons without having any evidence to support these claims. Moreover, at that stage, when there were exchanges of threats and Israel began military actions, the IAEA confirmed that it had no evidence that Iran was trying to shift its efforts within its nuclear program toward military objectives. But when a highly respected and prominent international agency like the International Atomic Energy Agency, IAEA, explicitly states that there are absolutely no discernible signs for any significant concern and fully maintains the definitive conclusion it made back in 2015 that there is no concrete evidence whatsoever of Iran shifting its nuclear program toward military objectives or developing nuclear weapons. And when, in this situation, Israel and the United States say, we know better than your experts, and we will decide for ourselves how things should be handled. This, of course, is complete disregard for their obligations in this case, the obligations of the United States as a party to the Treaty on the Non-Proliferation of Nuclear Weapons, and a total disregard for the authority and functions of the IAEA. But this is also a lesson for the agency, because its most recent comprehensive report, which was prepared over a long period with great care and was presented at the recently held session of the IAEA Board of Governors, was drafted by the agency secretariat under intense pressure from Western countries, primarily Germany, France, Britain, and the United States. And many of the report's formulations had, a certain air of ambiguity, which was immediately seized upon by the four Western countries I just mentioned. Based on these ambiguities or excessive hints, in Director General Grossi's report, they wrote a resolution which barely scraped together the necessary half of the votes in the IAEA Board of Governors, but which, in essence, with its deliberately alarmist tone, gave Israel an additional pretext to launch the operation, justifying it, among other things, by the supposed opinion of the IAEA. That's why everyone needs to be careful, especially the Director General and his staff, and focus as much as possible on their professional duties, not allowing their professional activities to be politicized. And of course, all parties to the treaty, all participants in the Non-Proliferation Treaty, all countries involved in the work of the IAEA are obliged to uphold the principle that it is the governments who are responsible for making decisions, and that the Secretariat must present the facts as honestly as possible and not yield to pressure from anyone. Well, I cannot comment on the decision of the Iranian parliament regarding the need to cease cooperation with the IAEA. After all, this decision is advisory in nature with respect to the executive branch. We are interested in ensuring that Iran's cooperation with the IAEA continues. We are interested in ensuring that everyone respects the repeated statements made by Iran, by the Supreme Leader of Iran, that Iran does not have and will not have plans to develop nuclear weapons. There is a special fatwa on this matter, a religious document that holds the highest authority in the Islamic Republic. And therefore, it truly seems to me that absolutely everyone is deeply interested in seeing the current situation now move decisively into the broader political sphere. This was stated by President Trump, who, as he says, wants to play a mediating role between Israel and Iran. Iran has said that if military actions with Israel do not resume, then Iran will adhere to the ceasefire regime. But unfortunately, the chief of the general staff of Israel, Mr. Zamir, in my opinion, not living up to his surname, stated that while the ceasefire is currently in effect, this is primarily because it is necessary to finish what was started with regard to Hamas, and then they will definitely return to continuing the operation against Iran. This is concerning and goes against the statements of almost all other participants involved in this situation, including, as I already mentioned, contradicting the statement made by Donald Trump. Our position is well known. In his contacts with the Israelis, the Iranians, the Americans, the Arab countries of the Persian Gulf, and Iran's neighbors, the President has clearly outlined our approaches and put forward a number of ideas that, in practical terms, could serve as a basis for an agreement. On the one hand, these would not infringe upon Iran's legitimate rights as a participant in the Non-Proliferation Treaty, and on the other hand, they would address the concerns that Israel has regarding these suspicions, as well as the concerns expressed by the President of the United States